Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Brain Trust. This is episode 79, Space and Technology. I'm here with my co-facilitator, Lionel.
Hello, how you doing? How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Let's set this off. Those of you listening, you can follow along. The description with the docket is in the description below the video. Yeah. So first on the docket is digital license plates, convenience or privacy risk. Um, my take on this is that I think it's a cool technology, and I think it's convenient from an innovation standpoint. But I do think that there are some concerns of hacking, um, also the cost of ownership, TCO, total cost of ownership. What happens when it gets damaged? Who pays for it? How much does it cost? Things of that nature. Those are things that I would be concerned with in terms of having these new digital license plates. Uh, I would take a different approach. I would use RFID tags on the bumpers or the windshield itself and the back windshield as well. I just don't see the value in reinventing the wheel, so to speak, in terms of a license plate in that character. The way it's modified. I mean, you go from a traditional metal plate to this digital screen on the back of your car. I just don't. I don't. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of the technology, but I'm not a big fan of the implementation. So I think there has to be a better approach, especially with these overhead readers and scanners and things like that that have been used to replace toll booths on highways. I think there's a better approach. I know. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think this falls under the category of is it necessary? Things that shouldn't be changed. Uh, I understand that the metal license plates has been in existence for decades, and people may want to look at it and say, "Well, this is archaic. We can do better." But $700 to purchase it. Then a $7 monthly fee. It's $84 a year. On top of you still have to get your stickers. Like you said, what if it's damaged? You have to replace it. What's the replacement fee? Is it still $700? So all of these extra fees that comes into play when you didn't have to worry about it with the dumb metal plate.
Hmm.
It may it to me in my mind, this may be a something that goes for a few years. People may like it, but after a while, people may say, you know what, I want that dumb metal plate because this $7 a month is starting to take a big chunk. you know, After so long, it's $84 a year. You $7 may not seem a lot, but after a while, you people start to ask yourself, why am I paying this? So yeah, it seems nice. The technology is cool. They said they use the same technology as Amazon Kindle. That ink, I forgot this called the
E-ink, e-ink.
yes, the e-ink. I do like the e-ink. I think that's cool, but that dumb metal plate still holds weight in terms of this.
And plus, what about those people who are in prison who make those license plates? Their jobs are going to go away now. No job security for them.
Nope, nope. They may be told to do something else now. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I just I, I think a traditional license plate lasts for years. I mean, I haven't changed my license plate in I think like over 10 years. Like, and it still looks brand new. Like, why do I need to implement this stupid device? And why
Yeah,
do I have to pay for it? Why don't you pay for it?
yeah, like as long as you don't go changing your license plates every time you get a new car, as long as I've seen people license plates get damaged, but I don't know how that happened. Put a nice little cover from O'Reilly Auto Parts, nice little cover on it. Um, them things last as long as you got a driver's license. So now you want me to
I know
pay?
there's some.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I know there's some people who purposely bend their plates and stuff like that, either because of vandalism or maybe they're trying to avoid being scammed by you know these these DOT, the Department of Transportation, come by and put a boot on your car. You
Yeah.
can't do that anymore with this license plate. But at the same time, I think this is somebody came up looking for a a scheme to make money, and this is their agenda, right? So it's cool. It's cool and it's innovative, but the implementation aspect is kind of stupid. Because what
Yeah,
about motorcycles, right? Motorcycles use a smaller
plate. Yeah.
license plate, so uh,
Yeah, it is cool. It is innovative, but at the same time, it's too much. It's doing too
yeah.
much. The $7 monthly fee. I don't know about that.
hmm
Then
Yeah, yeah.
$700 to get it.
Somebody's trying to recoup some money from this. I mean, this is kind of similar to the little fad back in the mid 2000s with guys running around with these digital belt buckles, with their names
Mm-hmm.
going
Mm-hmm.
across the screen on the belt buckle, those racing jackets.
Yeah, oh my God, you funny. I like that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. This may be a fact because she said it's what 116 people in California that already has this. California's a big
See,
state.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but here's the thing: why don't the state and the city, those vehicles that are owned by the city, those not police cars, but the civil service cars,
hmm
why don't you put them on those cars first? Why does a civilian have to use them? Why does a taxpayer have to use them?
uh,
Right? Like why does the pilot program have to start with them? Why don't you lead by example and you guys put those license plates on your cars? Don't put it on my car. Don't make me pay for it. You guys
now,
pay for it.
now that would be cool. Having on police cars and other cars, that would be cool. Maybe it'll catch on. People see it like, oh, I like that. But uh, I right now maybe I'm part of the oh you not cool, you just an old guy that talk about whatever, you know, young kids like this. Maybe I don't know, but that $7 monthly fee just for a license plate, that don't resonate with me.
Hmm
It seems kind of dumb in my opinion. Gotta pay $7 for a
And
license plate.
right, what happens when your car goes underwater, right? Because of a flood or something like that,
You got water
or it's
in ink.
freezing out there. Right, right. You got
Oh,
it's freezing out in the cold in December, January, February, where it's ice cold out there. You got to scrape the ice off the vehicle, and you end up damaging the plate. You got to pay for that too. Nah, man,
or or, or the opposite of that. The sun keep beaming down on it day by day, year after year, and now the what they call it when the sun damaged the screen. So now you got to replace it. I don't know. Or do your $7 fee go into like a escrow where little personal escrow where if you do damage, you just dip into that? No, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, Seems kind of as we talk about it more and more, it seems kind of dumb.
yeah, not sustainable. So we'll move on to the next one. Um,
Yeah.
next article. Let me see here.
Seven
King Nick,
dollars.
welcome in the chat. Dante,
Welcome.
welcome. Keep it techie. Thanks for subscribing. Tony Lackey, what's going on? So the next article is Wall Street Journal. How autonomous vehicles will reshape our world. Self-driving cars are just one piece of the puzzle. Former New York City Traffic Commissioner Samuel Schwartz, aka Gridlock Sam, explains. So, for those of you who want to follow along, that link is actually in the description below the video. My take on this is that I think there's a problem between how humans interact with autonomy and robotics and things of that nature. They seem to be very apprehensive. I think we looked at an article before with Waymo, where the people were apprehensive about getting into the vehicle because there was no driver there. But yet, if you
Mm-hmm.
look at a lot of vehicle collisions or accidents that are reported, a lot of it has to do with human malfunction, right? Human behavior. Somebody's texting, somebody's
Mm-hmm.
drinking and driving, or something to that effect. It's at the fault of a human, but you're still relying on a human, even though it's you haven't even given uh, the autonomous vehicle a chance to even operate.
Um, all of that is, of course, better in our mind. We're so ingrained in being used to a human driving. We're so used to being told that and taught that. Oh, you have to get your driver's license. You need to drive a car to get places. So all of that gives credence to a lot of these people being apprehensive to get into a car without a driver and it's going 50 miles per hour. That's going to scare a lot of people. So this, even though this technology is cool, we talk about it, we say it's the future, which it is, but the people that's going to adopt this technology, it's not going to be us in mass. It's going to be generation, not even Z. No, I'm a millennial. I don't think millennials in mass is going to adopt this. I don't think the generation behind us, Generation Z is going to adopt this in mass. I think like Generation Alpha, gener oh, Generation Beta. Oh my God, that's a bad name. Um, they may adopt this in mass.
They won't have any choice. I think at some point in the next maybe 15 to 20 years, you won't see kids getting their driver's licenses. Anybody who's born in 2018 now won't get their driver's license. I can almost guarantee that. They might get some kind of like um, RFID, state ID or something like that, right? The real ID identification, but there won't be any cars for them to drive.
Mhm.
That will be over and done with.
So the kids
Unless they
born
want.
today, they're part of Generation Alpha, I believe. Generation Alpha start to be born. So yeah.
Yeah, but there will be no need for them to even get in the car because they have autonomous buses now. I think they just suspended a autonomous school shuttle in Florida. I want to say it was. I saw that article earlier. I should have added it to the hangout, but basically they're already in 2018. They're already in the test phase of these autonomous shuttles and buses. Now, what are you going to do in 5 years? Because the cycle is usually 3 to 5 years for technology development, anyways. So
Hmm.
what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years? Those vehicles are going to be on the road already
Yeah.
from a commercial standpoint. And then you factor in cars. Tesla already released. version 9 of their autopilot system, for their Tesla Model S and um, Model 3, I think. Well, basically, they're already in the ninth um, version of their autonomous autopilot system for their vehicle. So the way how I see it is, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and
Within our
adoption.
lifetime, that this is going to take place.
It'll totally happen in our lifetime, and adoption is already here. Is already going on because it said millennials don't own cars like previous generations has have. We are more of a ride share generation. So we're already not owning cars. And now you got Generation Z is going to be used to that because generation millennials gave birth to Z, so they're getting used to it. Um, they get their food in school delivered. Well, the ones that can afford it by Uber Eats. Go to school, pick up an Uber to go to school, pick up an Uber to go home from school. So when they give birth to the next generation, it's like a stepping phase, but it's already in adoption. Slowly, but it'll be here before you know it, and it's going to be here within your lifetime.
Hmm.
But also in the article, I liked how they talked about they spoke about motorcycles and how motorcycles can become obsolete in the future. Uh, that I didn't see that one coming at all.
I don't know about that. I think what will happen with motorcycles, especially companies like Harley Davidson, because they can't sell. Harley Davidson's having a hard time selling the motorcycles that they do have, not because people don't like motorcycles, but because millennials can't afford them.
Mm,
So what's going to happen? I think Harley Davidson and many Kawasaki and the rest of these companies are going to come up with a rideshare program where they kind of just rent the bike out for the most part if they want that sort of thrill, right? If they want that fast 100 miles, 150 miles an hour thrill, they're gonna go for that Harley Davidson or that or whatever motorcycle it is that can do that for them on a rideshare basis. Because in places like Chicago, you have four seasons, and especially winter is like uh, devastating for a
yeah.
motorcyclist out there, right? So you don't ride all year round. You just ride maybe what 3 or 4 months out the year. The good months, May,
Hmm.
June, July, August, and September maybe, and then you probably hang it up by late October. That,
Oh,
that's
definitely.
that's
Yeah.
about the extent of it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in Florida or you're in California, that might be a bit different. But with the way the market is in terms of jobs and affordability, I think there'll be a shift to like more autonomous, not autonomous, but more rideshare based motorcycles. Now, what I have seen is Volvo has a patent in place for helmets, motorcycle helmets that have sensors on them that can actually alert a person on a motorcycle that there's other vehicles surrounding it and things in their
Oh,
blind spot, vehicles
that's
in
pretty
their
cool.
blind spot. Right. And I also saw that Ducati has a system in place on their new motorcycles. I think the Multistrada might be the motorcycle. It has sensors connected to your jacket, and your leather jacket has airbags in it. So if
Ooh,
you fall off the motorcycle, the whole jacket turns into one big bubble,
that
and
sounds like some
you float through
Tomorrowland
there.
stuff.
Yeah, it's already in place on their multi-stratas, I think it is.
Now, that's pretty cool. That really do sound like some Tomorrowland. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, in the movie Tomorrowland, they had these rockets. It was just a brief demonstration. Had these rockets, and if you fill off these these rockets, you go around town, get to wherever you're going at these rockets. But if you fell off the rocket and you crash, airbag instantly what inflated from the rocket and and covering you so you wouldn't hurt yourself. But the airbag within the jacket, it just sounds like that Tomorrowland type of scene to me. And also in the article, they talked about multi-level roads where the ground level, which is level everybody walk on, would initially, well, not initially, wrong word, would be just no cars. People just walking around. This way, you just shop, go to school, blah blah blah. How it is now, just with no cars, and it would be a lower level where all the autonomous vehicles would drive, and that to me sounds like that a Total Recall, the remake of Total Recall, where you had, instead of underground, you had the cars driving in the sky, and they were magnified to whatever level you were on. Now that can get congested really quickly, but thinking about the innovation is pretty cool.
Right. Right. I wonder what's going to happen to the insurance companies. Right. People aren't driving as much. You don't have a necessity to actually have insurance because you don't own the vehicle.
Right, right.
That could really put those guys out of business.
And I don't think a lot of them are seeing. I don't think a lot of them are seeing this coming down the pipe. They're not seeing this coming. They may hear it in passing, but maybe they don't put two and two together, and especially put two and two together in enough time to get out the business, you know, and get into the business that's going to destroy the business they're in. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, logic needed. He said, and also self balancing bikes. I saw that. I saw in China that they were testing that
Mhm.
last week. Um, who was that?
No, I was just agreeing. I was just agreeing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they have self balancing bikes. So what you're starting to see now is people who could not have ridden bikes before for a long duration of time. Those bikes that are self balancing are going to be a game changer because now you can go from point A to point B without ever putting your foot down on the ground. I mean, the bike's just going to balance itself, right? And
Hmm.
the only reason you would actually have to get off the bike is either to use the bathroom or come to a full stop, so to speak.
And the
So that's
seats on that
definitely
at
interesting.
that point in time, the seats on that can be modified to make it more comfortable. Because if you're not riding it, well, if you're not pedaling it, you can ride it for longer periods of time, which means they're gonna have to modify the seats, especially if it's a ride sharing program and you have a self balancing bike and people want to ride this thing all over town. So not they're not going to want to ride this thing with that current seat on it. You got to modify the seat, make it comfortable, and they can go to town riding these bikes.
I think you'll see the technology be more adopted in racing bikes. Like the biathlons and triathlons and things like that.
Hmm.
Tour de France, that type
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. I think you'll see it there because that's a technological advantage for a rider, right? You don't have to put in so much um, mental energy as well as physical energy into balancing the bike. You can kind of just go downhill and coast it, and the bike will balance itself.
Hmm.
I can see the use case for that there.
Mm. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hey, what's going on, Preem? You got anything you want to add?
Hey, hey, what's up, fellas? Straight ahead, straight ahead. Yeah, I just want to add two quick, just want to add two quick points. One on the ride share thing. Yeah, I think that just might that might be end up being a thing. And I've said it before, but not in detail on there. That I'm actually a part of a rideshare company and have been a part of one for like the last 2 years. And for a person like me in my position, the way how they structure the membership or the subscription model, because it is a subscription model, I mean, it works out great for me as far as the end user. There's a lot of value there, and just kind of looking at how they run their operation, because they have a fleet full of cars, so they get like a fleet discount based on what they're asking a month and the vehicles they're giving out. They're definitely making a profit there. And as long as they can get the financing, the underwriting, the banks to kind of be a little bit more creative and not, have to lock someone into a 4, 5, or 6 year lease or, vehicle payment in order to make a profit, and they can kind of figure a way to finagle their underwriting, to still be profitable, but to still, to still abate the risk for these companies, with their insurance and whatnot. It's definitely a win-win-win situation for everybody. That'd be cool if they can do it for motorcycles as well. I don't see why they can't, because they're doing it for cars. And again, as far as the cars that's available, I'm not in that category. This one company I'm dealing with, they have several categories, and a buddy of mine, he's in the top category, and the cars that are available to him in that category, they offer Teslas, and these are all current year, like 1 or 2 year old. Well, actually, current year or 1 year old. They have Teslas. They have not. Again, it's not my category. This is his category. They have Teslas. They have Porsches. They have Corvettes. They have all types of SUVs, luxury cars. So they're all, variation of cars, depending on what you want and what occasion you want it for. And he's a married guy, has a wife, has kids. So if they're like driving, they want to go to Arizona or something, go to like whatever that place is there, Grand Canyon, he can tell them, I want a Suburban, unlimited miles. You can drive it out of state, and all you got to do is put gas in it. So it's a great, option for him. So maybe that may work out for millennials and the next generations afterwards, to where, they can rent a convertible for one season, a Wrangler for another season. They're going to the beach or whatever. And then because this subscription is month to month, you can stop it at any time. Now, when I got in, because I was grandfathered in, you could stop and restart whenever you wanted. But now they've initiated like a restart fee, because they've gotten so popular, to where now they can throw in a little fig. Hey, if you stop your membership, if you want to crank it up again, that's a little fig that you got to go ahead and pay. So that might end up being a thing, and again, it might even incorporate motorcycles into that. Not this company, but just generally speaking, because you don't have to worry about nothing, man. You just, again, the user, we don't have to do nothing except for put gas in it. The other thing, as far as the autonomous vehicles, that's a hard bullet for me to buy. And I'm not speaking from an area of expertise, but just from an outsider just observing in. The only way I see that working, autonomous vehicles like taking off and becoming like a mass trend, is that it has to operate in a controlled environment. It just has to, because even though it may have the detections and sensors to kind of see things and notice things, it would still require a majority control type of environment for that to work, for there not to be a user or the driver to kind of be aware. Like you said, the cars are crashing because people are texting. Well, hell, if I'm in a self-driving car, that means I should be able to fall asleep. But if I have to be like what they call it, a backseat driver, I might as well go ahead and grab the wheel. And I think that's necessary, currently, because of all the surprises that may go ahead and come up that you can't account for. If I was to throw a metaphor out there, again, this is just something random, for those folks that say, hey, automation is going to take over the factories, and Amazon has these warehouses to where everything is done by robots. Okay, that is absolutely true. But let's say that warehouse is in California, and they have like a little tremor, a little earthquake, and the boxes fall on the ground. Those robots that are very efficient, very streamlined, 24/7, they can't reach over, grab the box off the ground, put it back on the conveyor belt, and start things back again. Some human is going to have to come in and reset that, because of that surprise element that creeps in there. So there will always be a need for a human there, unless it's going to be 100% controlled, and you don't have to account for any type of extenuating circumstances or any surprises kicking in there. That's all.
Yeah, Waymo has taken a lot of what you're saying into consideration, and they've only had maybe 1 or 2 accidents out of 25,000. So you factor in that's less than 1% of their rides of autonomous rides that they've been piloting on the West Coast for the last year or so. I think the last maybe 2 or 3 years. I think it's like 25,000 rides or something like that. But so far as of right now, it sounds like the autonomous vehicle is actually a lot more accurate um, than the actual human driver. Now, when you refer to being in the back seat, you have to keep in mind that an autonomous vehicle, a true level 5 autonomous vehicle, is not going to have a steering wheel. There will be no steering wheel. It will just be like 2 love seats in a limo, right? So you have one person, 2 people facing back, 2 people facing the front. You know, in a love seat fashion. Um, there's nothing for you to grab.
Mm.
There's gonna be cameras inside the car to make sure that you're not doing any hanky panky with other rideshare people that you're gonna be car sharing with. But
Now, imagine this: you coming home from a long day of work, you know, and people getting home, they like to they will need to unwind. And you got all that traffic, which adds on to it. But in a level 5 autonomous vehicle, especially, you call it up and say, hey, I'm about to get off work, maybe outside, and on your way home, you driving with other autonomous vehicles, which means the traffic isn't as bad, and you can unwind in the vehicle on your way home, kick back, recline the seat, take a quick little 30-minute nap, and by the time you get home, you have more time for your family. So that's pretty cool in that small, tiny aspect.
um, Jack Charles had a question in the chat. It was what's the cost of these car sharing programs usually? Um, for car sharing programs, I think we discussed this before. I believe Cadillac had a program that was $2,000. I think a year. I think you get to take a car off for maybe about 8 hours to 12 hours or something like that. I forget the actual stipulations behind it. I know Ford is working on a car sharing program. I want to say they bought into Lyft as well. Um, Audi has something called Silverline. There's an app on your phone on the Android marketplace called Clutch um, that allows you to take out luxury cars through its car sharing program. So basically, you pay like 4 or 5 grand for the year, and you get to take out like Lamborghinis and Porsches and Aston Martins and stuff like that. So,
Hey, what's good, gentlemen?
What's going on,
hey, what's
Complex?
going
How
on?
you doing?
Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to follow up on what Mike was saying. I know BMW. I heard this service. It was kind of like a typical car lease. It was like about $800 a month, and for that, you could pretty much okay, your mileage. You have like a standard mileage calculation, right? But that could be spread across any vehicle. So at the $800 a month lease fee, you pretty much have access to any vehicle. So you just go in, turn the keys in, and go pick another car and take it, and then go. And it just calculates whatever mileage you're doing across all vehicles that you're using. But you pay one like lease payment a month, and you have access to any car in the fleet.
Yep, I think they limited it down to like BMW 3 Series, 320 series. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's a couple. It's like a
like a
range of
four-cylinder.
models that they. Yeah, it's like a range of models that they select across the board. But you can come in and just choose any one that you want to roll on any given day. Just go in, drop the keys off, pick the other one up if it's available.
Right, right. And there's an app for your phone that will tell you the availability as well.
Right, right.
Right. I think Porsche's working on a very similar design because Porsche's going to have a hard time moving their vehicles in a couple of years as well because as you start to see jobs start to decline and incomes start to be reduced, people won't be so gleeful to go down to the Porsche dealership and drop 150 grand on a Turbo S or something like that. They just not going to
Yeah.
do that.
Now, I did send an article through pertaining to Porsche. Maybe it's like late last week. And actually,
Oh,
it was the chick
Yeah, I
Nikki
saw that.
from Transport Evolved, where they were talking about how the new I'm trying to remember what they're calling that electric platform that they're launching.
Mhm.
So this is going to be a full on. It's kind of similar to Ford's autonomous division, but this is like the equivalent. But this is going to be Porsche's electric division. Like it's a full on thing now. And they have a platform that they're going to be building off of. So I thought I think they mentioned something about, building this out. It was like it's a $2 billion investment that Porsche is taking. And I think they're hiring some to the tune of like 20 to 25,000 people to staff
yep.
this new division of Porsche. So, like anything, what happens is that the jobs basically are going to shift. Right. So whatever mechanical, technical skills, electrical engineering skills that you were utilizing in one division, if you care to, stay and roll on over to the new division, I mean, that's just where the jobs are going to be at now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
mute
absolutely.
myself for a few minutes here.
All right, go ahead. Yeah. So I saw that the Lyft bikes have gone live already. So the Lyft scooters, from a rideshare standpoint as well, Lyft is invested into this complete rideshare program as well. So this car
Man,
sharing program.
they already hit. They're in Santa Monica right now. They're in Santa Monica. They use the same Xiaomi M365 scooter that Bird uses. Like I got probably like about 7 of them sitting on my patio right now that I'm working on. But Lyft just they have like they have their own little logo on their scooter, and they have their own little logo on their scooter, and they it looks similar, but it just has like the Lyft pink color pink or purple, whatever color it is, and yeah, they're all over.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I have discussed this at nauseum about the whole entire platform is just going to be so profitable and lucrative, for minorities because I personally don't see a whole lot of non-black people getting into this industry to the extent that I thought that they would be. It seems to be foreigners or non-whites getting involved. So I think that non-blacks are going to make up non-blacks, non-whites will make up the bulk of the the supply chain force for it. But I
Yeah.
still think that there's an opportunity for black men to
Oh
be involved in
man.
this.
Man, look, okay. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I want to speak to that for just a minute because,
Yep.
to just so for anyone who just heard what the sentiments that Mike is speaking to here. So one of the the businesses that Anti-Gravity and I run, we do have a transportation uh, portion to our business. And one of the things that we are developing is a rideshare logistics platform, just like how that Bird uses. Because really, all it is it's software, it's GPS, and then it's scooters. That's really all it is. It's not that complicated. And the software largely drives the majority of this. So if you have your software in place, then really it's just all about your hardware and your logistics, where you're placing them and how they're all rotating in and out of service, how they're being maintained. That's the logistics side of it. But it's just like you said, it's not something that's out of the realm or out of the stretch for us to do. It's actually quite simple when you put some brain power to it. And doing work with Bird over the last few months here, I've learned essentially, how this stuff works. So this stuff's not out of the realm of possibility to get into. You're literally just talking about software and basically scooters. That's it. Now, I would invite anyone if they were interested in looking into something like that. You can contact us. Contact me directly. Contact Anti-Gravity. We give you more info on a lot of this type of stuff because in 2019 you'll start to see us really start to push a lot of projects out based on this. But as far as the market share, man, look, there's so many areas where you don't see this happening. So that means it's wide open. It's fair game. It's fair game. The area of LA where I live in, you know, they've held off all of the big companies because you got a lot of like local bike companies and stuff like that, like shops that I used to own, like the one I used to have. They want the bids, they want the contracts. So, you know, you have a lot of municipalities right now, they're fighting off Bird and Lime and all these other companies. And this is now the opportunity for others to step in before they say, hey, well, look, you know what? We don't really see nothing going on here, but we see a need and we want to fill it. It's either going to be you or them.
Hey, if you look in the chat, see Boogie has a question. Do the scooters need to be charged? You have an answer for that?
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And the way like companies like Bird, Lime, you know, Lyft, how they all do it is that they basically have like 2 to 3 groups of people who basically do different functions. You have one group of people who charge them, okay, and then you have a group of people who fix them, and then you have a group of people who go out into the field and let's just say, for example, they may mark they'll go across and they'll canvas and they'll mark everything as either like damaged or something needs to be fixed, and then it pops up on like the mechanics app, for example, and the mechanical can look on the map and then see, okay, there's a broken scooter here. Then he pulls it up, and then through Google Maps, it'll give you the direction as to where to go because there's a GPS beacon in every last one of these things. So there's a logistics, there's a charging, there's a whole sort of chain of command that works to keep this stuff in operation 24/7. Is there any other questions here? Oh, I'm not sure if. Everyone dropped.
No, I stepped away. I stepped away for a second.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I dropped off or anyone else dropped off or whatever, but yeah. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
All right, we'll move on to the next article.
Okay.
If you get a chance, Complex, and you find that that portion link that you were talking about, you know, bring it back up in the open hangout.
Okay, let me find it right now. Go ahead.
All right, next article is how the blockchain could break big tech's hold on AI, artificial intelligence. I think this is a really interesting article because these two terms, blockchain and artificial intelligence, are always used interchangeably, and they're not really interoperable, but they are the new emerging technologies coming out of you know, the tech industry. So blockchain is usually synonymous with cryptocurrencies, and the reason why this is important is because blockchain is a serverless infrastructure database. And what it does is it provides infrastructure, you know, for transactions. And artificial intelligence would be the highest level of programming for machine learning. Basically, it gives the human aspect to, you know, to algorithms. So what they're saying in this article, and you can follow along because the article is actually in the description below the video. What they're basically saying is that the blockchain could actually break up this monopoly that artificial intelligence has. And the thing is, one could operate without the other, but the two operating together can actually be symbolic or for synergy. Um, Typically, what happens with artificial intelligence is that it's used to replace a human being, but the blockchain itself is not really used to replace a human being. So what they're saying is that there's room for growth in that area um, of development that can actually displace some of the artificial intelligence autonomy that is working on by itself.
Mm. Yeah, I always saw I always saw them as the two is not necessarily the same thing, but one needing, like basically one being a critical component to the other.
Hmm.
That's how I've always kind of viewed blockchain. I've always, these are like, I think they're like, these are all sort of like different sort of segments of the new industrial revolution, right? Blockchain being sort of like the new record keeping method, the new digital record keeping method, right? Artificial intelligence is an actual software and hardware application platform, right? And one of them utilizes the database software aspect, the ledger aspect. So they're intertwined, but yeah, completely separate.
Right. There's a few companies that are if you read the article, there's actually a few companies that's actually working on a more intelligent blockchain. So what could happen with blockchain is you could take artificial intelligence and implement it within the blockchain itself, so it can actually do some of the processing um, as if it's making human decisions
Mm,
in the back
okay.
end, right? So, it's like for example, if you had a toll booth based system, and you wanted to remove the toll booths, the artificial intelligence will replace the human, but the blockchain would actually give
Right.
infrastructure to the toll booth itself. So there are some parallels in the two technologies.
And I would imagine, that there was going to be sort of like a merging in the sense. We really just don't see it applied yet. But I think as people start to, as you start to see blockchain rolled out on the infrastructure side, you'll start to see you start to see developers come up with ways to integrate things into it, right? To make it other things. The blockchain is the blockchain unto itself, and it's largely just known to be, what drives cryptocurrencies. But all of these other applications have yet to be explored. So I think that's the side where it's like very interesting.
Let me see what's in the chat. Hmm. I don't know what Jack Charles is referring to. He says, "What's the biggest problem with that?" Hmm.
Okay. He may have asked that question. I mean, we may have been like discussing something. I think he may have asked the question while we were talking. So I'm not sure what point it may be referencing.
Lionel, you have anything you want to add, or you still away? Yeah, I think he's still away.
Okay.
All right,
Preem, did he have any? Yeah, I don't know if Preem had any input. I saw Preem's up on there.
Oh, okay.
I'm good on this one. Thanks.
Okay. By the way, what's good, bro? Go ahead, Mike. Oh, okay. Real quick, brother Jack Charles, he was referencing blockchain and AI. What's the biggest problem with that?
Job
I don't,
displacement. I can say job displacement would be one area of concern, but
yeah.
the two require skill sets that are almost almost parallel to each other. If you can work Python at a high level, then you can work AI. If you can work Python at a high level, you can also work blockchain as well. So the two have the same similar skill sets with different needs. Artificial intelligence does not provide an infrastructure for you, but it provides logic. Whereas blockchain provides infrastructure, but it doesn't have any immediate logic to it. So artificial intelligence would actually drive the logic on the blockchain itself.
Right.
I wanted to jump to this next article from CNBC. Salaries for blockchain engineers are skyrocketing, now on par with AI experts. We just got finished talking about AI and blockchain, but um, I'll read off these bullet points, and you can follow along because the article is in the description below the video. Blockchain engineers are making between 150,000 and 175K in annual salaries on average. Uh, blockchain engineers are the top paid roles in software development, on par with specialists focused on artificial intelligence. And demand for blockchain engineers has increased by 400% since late 2017 as Hired, a firm that helps clients recruit tech candidates. So what they're seeing here is this fourth industrial revolution is actually commanding a high value, a high salary for these new engineers, these new innovators coming in. If you have these skill sets, then you will be safe for the next 25 to 30 years, if not longer.
Man, this is eerily reminiscent of like Web 1.0. Do you remember like late 90s? If you could code, was like HTML and Visual Basic,
Everybody,
and if you could,
like everybody was a web developer, right? The web
yep.
developer was like the. Mhm.
I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that the back then in the .com boom, everybody was a web developer. Everybody knew what was it? Macromedia.
Yep.
What is that? Shockwave. Or if you were a
Flash.
Shockwave developer, you made buku. Yeah,
Oh
Flash.
man. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Real Player. You knew how to implement Real Player.
I'm trying to remember what other platforms at that time, but it reminds me something of that, but this is a little bit different because you're talking about like baseline tech infrastructure, right? Blockchain is just basically going to be in existence from here throughout, I don't know, until there's like a new blockchain type of application to replace it, right? So you can kind of foresee the longevity in being, knowledgeable in blockchain.
Right, because blockchain is a part of a total architecture. So the architecture is just going to be more about version implementation. So right now we're in the 1.5 version of blockchain implementation. You're starting to see it be used just for various small needs. Supply chain logistics is the biggest, and then you start thinking about autonomous vehicles um, for security, because the blockchain is immutable in that aspect. Um, the, the you know the ability to actually leverage this sort of skill set is going to be vast, and I just can't understand why black men don't get into it more, because this is where the jobs are, and they don't discriminate. I was talking to Lionel in the pre-show, and before we started, and I was offered a blockchain developer's job back in September, and they were
Mhm.
asking for 150K.
Damn. And I mean, the thing too is that blockchain, it's new. It's new. That I think that's the thing when you're talking about. I think we got a little bit of echo somewhere. When you're talking about why we haven't adopted this. I mean, I think this largely has to do with the fact that blockchain is relatively new to a lot of people, man. They don't really know exactly just what that is and what its usage could possibly be. So I think that's the one area we're dealing with here. We're dealing with something that is largely, again, we just touched on this a few minutes ago, largely synonymous with cryptocurrencies. But in our discussions, we understand blockchain to be, we understand it that in the future it's going to undergird pretty much everything tech related. Okay, so we understand this, but the average person typically understands when you say blockchain, they think Bitcoin, right? And I think we have to get to a point where we have to broaden our notions of what the blockchain will be utilized for. Let's see, to kind of maybe make a comparison, like, so all of the videos and stuff that you see now on YouTube is all what? Isn't that like Flash or some sort of
HTML5. So HTML5 kind of replaced Flash.
Right, right. So, I mean, but now that's basically the standard. So anytime you're watching video, it's largely going to be HTML5, right? Okay, so in the future, pretty much when you're interfacing with some sort of technology, whether it's an app, it's video, whatever, the undergirding technology behind that is going to be blockchain. So it's getting to the point where we're thinking about the blockchain in a way where we're thinking about what it can be used for and how to develop it, to use it for the things that we can think about to create. That's where it has to go. We have to get out of the mode of thinking that like blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin, basically.
So I've got a couple questions about this. So this was a pretty good article, and as far as the entry level, like getting into blockchain, someone who wants to explore this as a career, does it require a college degree, or can someone begin, let's say just a high school graduate, start taking some courses, go online, pay a couple $100, get a certificate here, certificate there, and maybe not get entry level at the 150, but maybe get entry level at somewhere to where through apprenticeship, whatever, time served, whatever, time on the job, they can level up to that 150 K salary. Does it require a college degree?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
So what it requires, if you're looking at the article, right? I'm just going to read the paragraph. It says engineers who want to specialize in blockchain should know networking, database design, cryptography, computing skills, according to multiple blockchain engineers. Blockchain engineers code in a variety of programming languages such as Java, JavaScript, C++, Go, Solidity, and Python. So Python is usually the go-to language now. If you know C++, and you'll have no problem learning Python. But these languages are sort of interchangeable because they kind of piggyback off each other in terms of syntax. Blockchain, there is no such thing as like that. Right. There's a dialect between the multiple languages.
Right.
But to Preem's question, is there an entry level point? No. Blockchain developers or blockchain architects are usually the highest highest skilled, right? So if you want to be an entry level person, then you're more than likely going to be a person who does static and code analysis, right? Static and dynamic code analysis. So you're going to be the guy who comes in and oversees the code and makes sure that the code is clean. Usually when you have developers write sloppy, or they write in their own their own bastardized ways, and there's usually some code that needs to be analyzed so that it passes the final draft review before you go live with your codes, because you don't want to put code out there that leaks out information, and then you're now breaking all types of laws by leaking out sensitive data. That type of stuff needs to be followed up. So Lionel talked about this before, but I'm just going to reiterate that there's going to be at least, for every blockchain developer, he creates 16 other opportunities for that platform that he's working on. So he needs excuse me.
Oh no, I was saying please. That just made my ears perk up.
Yeah. So he creates at least 16 different opportunities, if not 20. You need system administrators who can set up the infrastructure. You need or system engineers. You need system analysts who can oversee code writing and things of that nature. Network engineers. I think the paragraph actually discusses that. Database design. You're always going to have database administrators. Cryptography. So that's security. Your security engineer guys are going to be a part of that. So just based off of that alone, you're talking at least 16 opportunities that come straight out of a blockchain developer's role. He's usually at the top of the food chain in terms of the hierarchy in the organization.
Exactly. Then let me just jump on that one first, man. Which is why I was getting frustrated, last year with these, so-called, I call them dipshits, but other people call them master teachers that, came up with this premise that, hey, once this thing called automation, stop it, bro. Once this thing called automation comes, that's just going to be the end of times. Everybody might as well just line up and go ahead and collect a check. And that type of defeat is limited thinking. I was like, dude, there's going to be other opportunities, other industries that are going to come about. That's just how man evolves. That's just how we work as humans. We are creative. We come up with new industries, new technologies. And to what you just said, that one job is gonna create 15 or 20 more opportunities. So let's have that conversation versus the conversation. Let's just all stand in line and collect the check, because this is the end of tech. This is the last thing that's going to happen. And, and we just might as well just go ahead and call the day. That's not true. And the thing I find interesting in this article, Mike, was in that first line. It said a 400% increase since 2017. So that's just like a year old. And to what you just said, you don't need a college degree. If you have ambition, if you have drive, if you have the will, you can get in on this game, and there's going to be a next after this, sir.
I was just going to say, man, look, we profiled this. Oh man, now this was maybe like about 4 or 5 months ago, but man, there was like these kids that were on the Max Kaiser show. There's just like these 15-year-olds, man, these 15-year-old like Arab kids from Toronto with their own startups, bro. And Max was sitting there like, look, let's talk offline. You guys need some help with that? So if you got 15-year-old kids developing blockchain applications, and you got Max Kaiser, they're piquing people like his interests, then
they were talking about putting genome development or genome research on the blockchain.
On the blockchain, yeah, 15 years old, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not my area of expertise, but I'm finding out more about it, because to what you were saying earlier, Plex, was that when people think blockchain, they just think it has to do with cryptocurrency, and it wasn't until I started following you guys and on this YouTube channel that I'm in the marketing advertising field, that I came across Brandon Ike, who was the developer. I think he was one of the co-founders of JavaScript and Mozilla Firefox. He has a startup now with the Brave and the basic attention token that's based on blockchain. So blockchain is getting into my industry. Blockchain what industry? The guy who wrote Life After Google, George Gilder. He's saying blockchain is probably what's going to help to finally make the internet secure. So blockchain is just not something that's just going to be limited to cryptocurrencies. There are a multitude of applications that it can be applied to. But if folks don't have an opportunistic, open mindset, and they think that this is just the end of times, they will never seize upon it, and we'll be left behind. And that was my first frustration with this dipshit, that folks, aka master teacher, that just like, no, that's it, and not gonna happen. All the jobs gonna work. I was like, no. There's gonna be more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So let's have that conversation. Otherwise, everybody else, like you said, the kids are gonna jump up and take it. The kid who started Ethereum, what was he, like an 18, 19-year-old kid?
Yeah, youngster.
It was a baby.
Well, Supreme, to your point, where you're going to see a lot of blockchain implementation is going to be in the advertising sector, the digital advertising sector. So you see these big billboards, or these not these big billboards, but these street billboards that are in New York and these urban centers that have these high tech screens on them. And what you're going to see with the blockchain is you're going to see advertisements being fired off over the blockchain into these billboards based on the time of day. So school lets out 2:30, 3 o'clock. You're going to see the advertisements down the blockchain to these billboards change just to fit that demographic that's going to walk right by it. That's going
It's
to
funny.
Yep.
It's funny you say that, because I just read an article today.
Yep.
Talking about that. So I'll send that out on an email. I got to find it.
We also there was some time ago, Mike. We were looking into if you recall that this was on the Business Wealth Power channel on one of the cannabis hangouts. We were looking into cryptos, and there was a company on a crypto whatever that website we were reviewing, and one of them had a crypto-based or blockchain-based digital advertising company. And it did exactly what you did, like what you just talked about. Like it basically beams out like algorithm-driven advertisements, maybe based on like the time of day, and so whatever at whatever specific point in time, you're going to have a demographic that's going to be most receptive to the message at that time. It's going to be all like algorithm driven and blockchain driven, man.
Machine learning, a lot of machine learning involved based on the time of the day, based on the amount, and it could be Monday to Friday, right? And then Saturday and Sunday, obviously your demographics are going to change because there's no schools involved and things of that nature. And millennials are going to be your fastest growing demographic for buying goods and services and things of that nature. So you'll see things like that. You'll see QR codes being used right on top of the infrastructure. There's a whole litany of areas that we can go into. And I wish, I hope Preem, takes advantage of any of those opportunities that does come his way.
Yeah, I was even thinking like something where if you have something that even has cameras, right, it might even recognize like facial recognition, and it'll recognize like the majority of people are maybe like of a certain specific demographic. Okay, what I'm recognizing is that the majority of these people here are males, and they're between 25 and 45, and the next thing you know, there's targeted ads going to all these dudes because there's some sort of like car event or something. I mean, I can see it getting that sort of narrowed in, dialed in terms of the targeting.
It may not even use cameras. It may just use Wi-Fi scanning of devices in the area, right?
Okay.
IoT now. So you'll scan the device based on that device's model and registration and things like that. It can actually determine who owns that device and what the demographic would be.
So instead of like facial scanning, it's doing like basically like device device scanning and picking up the information that way. Device map. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I know you want to move this along, but so I'll be really quick. But when it comes to the to be opportunistic, like in the advertising and marketing field, and you guys already presented this article a few months back, is that what Brandon's doing in the advertising, social media, internet field. I mean, he's nailed it, because where we are today. And what's actually going to happen is I see the new currency being time. The currency of the future is going to be time, individual time, and we'll get paid, based on his basic attention token. We'll get paid for our time. People who surf the internet, who get on social media, because right now when you go to watch a YouTube video, that commercial that plays that you have to wait to 4 or 5 seconds for, you get nothing out of that. You just get, have to wait till you hit the skip the commercial, whatever. Or if you have one that you can't skip, you just have to let it roll through so you can go in and get to your video. The person who gets paid is YouTube gets paid, and YouTube gets paid by that advertiser. But what Brendan's going to do in the future is that when you get on your phone, whatever platform that you get on, you won't have any ads. If you use his browser, his Brave browser, you won't get any ads. You won't get any delays. The time that the sites are going to load are going to be a hell of a lot faster. Your battery is not going to drain because 1/3 of your battery gets used up by all the scripts and all the tracking that comes from the advertising that has to preload when you get to TMZ and all those other pages. So what Brendan's browser is going to do is it's going to eliminate all of that, so you're going to get to those pages. However, if you do choose to view an ad, whether it's an ad that's related to something you were searching on Amazon or whatever, you will get paid for your attention. So they would drop cryptocurrency. You will have a wallet. You won't have to buy any crypto. They will pay you. They will pay you in cryptocurrency for your time. And he's fucking nailed it, man.
Well, Preem, I was going to ask you, is this that?
That's where you need to be, Preem.
Yeah, I was going to Preem. Is this that? So is this part of the new Mozilla browser that I'm reading now? It has a pocket or
No,
no, what is it? What is this right now?
It's the Brave browser because I use it. I know exactly what they're talking about. I use it every day, and
yep, me too.
I get paid Brave, not Brave. Why I say Brave? Bad tokens like 25 every once in a while because I use it every day for my crypto. So I'll look at advertisements. So I pay people back that I look at if they accept, and I receive back.
Huh? Can you pull it? Can y'all post a link, or can we get what? Let me find it. Maybe I can.
We'll save that for the open hangout, and then we'll come back to it. I just want to get to these other articles.
Okay.
This article is from space.com. When will we find Planet 9? Is there a ninth planet? I know. What's your take on it?
It's called Narubu. And what's going on, Christian?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's going on?
Hey. What's the name of this planet?
Nah, I'm interested in this one.
Go ahead. You take it.
Yeah. I know I keep saying this over and over again. The vastness of space is vast because it is vast. And even though we throw numbers out there, you really can't even mentally quantify this. So to look out into space and see if there's a ninth planet that's circling the sun in our solar system, it's not lit up saying, "Hey, I'm number 9." No, it's going to be dark because of the distance from the planet, and it may be okay. You have the 4 inner planets, which are called the terrestrial planets. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Then you have the asteroid belt. Then you have the other 4 planets, which are called the jovial planets: Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus. Those are the ice giants, or ice and gas giants. But then after that, you have this, I forgot the name of it, but the comet. It's like the asteroid belt. You got this comet belt, and the difference between comets and asteroids, comets are icy. So it may be planets beyond the comet belt.
The Van Allen belt.
That's the Van Allen. I think that's the belt that circles the Earth, and it's hazardous. It's like radioactive. Not radioactive. I keep forgetting. Every time I come on the hangout, I keep forgetting words. But it may be a planet beyond the comet belt that is so far away that we maybe have not just seen yet. And the rotation around the sun is just so slow, you just maybe haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, I think that this is regarding Planet Nine, which is pop, has been theorized to be on an elliptical orbit. So its orbit is a little bit different with regards to all the other planets. So it has a different, um, whatchamacallit, uh, uh, yearly or let's just say like the rotation for what they theorized for Planet Nine, I think it was like 3,600 years or something like that. I'm kind of fuzzy on it, but yeah, I know they're referencing the fact that this theorized ninth planet has an elliptical orbit.
Check the chat, see if anybody else is.
I think blockchain can handle this stuff, but you know, I'm just speculating.
Wait, what?
Now, but this is pretty interesting because I mean, when you look at models of the solar system, it's all nice and tidy because they want to help you understand the solar system, but the planets are not that close apart. You know, they are. Yeah, we're neighbors, but we again we're not neighbors. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm in Chicago and you in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can be neighbors, but we are nowhere near close to each other. So it's pretty far.
Well, I think the other interesting thing to note about this too is that this ninth planet discussion has largely been something that's been around, kind of like in I guess for lack of a better term, fringe circles. So to see that there's an official statement from NASA with regards to it, that's actually kind of eye opening.
Yeah, it is.
We always talk about this, that the one in every three startups going forward will be something to do with space exploration. So something to think about.
Hey, Mike, I'm not sure if that was on my end, but I think you might have cut out there a little bit. Can you just repeat what you just said?
I said we've talked about this several times in the past, but one in every three startups going forward will have something to do with space exploration. So it's something to think about.
Space is the place, man. And that number is very telling when you say literally like 33% of all new startups will be space related. So, that's just kind of an indicator to where a lot of our developed societies and hell, even emerging countries, they are eyeing space exploration. So, that may just be something we need to start to gear our minds towards.
Hmm. So this next article is from Boy Genius Report. A big chunk of space junk. A big chunk of space junk came crashing down in California, and it's just been identified. Um, so just look at this picture real quick. If you look how it's scarred and charred up that material is, it looks like it's been put through something like 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit or something to that effect, or something to that effect.
Yeah,
It's obviously
reentry
been
heat.
burned pretty bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
that reentry burned it up pretty good.
yeah.
Although if you
Now,
read the article in the
I'm sorry. Well, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
if you read the article, it says that there's other pieces to it in California that are found that were not burned up. So what exactly happened? What exactly happened to it? The company that actually owns that piece of junk is Iridium, and they are investigating as to what happened to the rest of the pieces as to why they didn't burn and that one did.
Hmm. That's interesting. We have a lot of we have a lot of launches that take place out here. There's oftentimes there's an actual missile test facility. It's called the Santa Susana Field Laboratory, I think it's called, and it's really not. It's actually not too far from here. Maybe like about 10 miles from here. So every so often, man, you'll see like this contrail streak up in the sky where they did like a test launch. So there's a lot of stuff that goes up into the sky out here in California. So it doesn't surprise me that some shit fell down.
But you know what? That could be a startup collecting space junk. And I know it sounds funny, but that's actually the truth. There's a lot of stuff.
No, I think that's a damn good idea. Why don't you expound on that?
There's a lot of stuff up there because when they send out satellites, they just stuck up there, orbiting, and then they crash into each other. So you got thousands of pieces flying everywhere. That can be a job, space junk.
Oh, you mean like 1-800?
Yeah. Hey, I'm down.
Okay, and then and maybe we're putting too many ideas out there, but you sign a deal where shoot, you capture the space junk, you get the rights to recycle the materials. Because satellites have a shit ton of exotic materials on there, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah.
Because Earth is big. Earth ain't no tiny ball. Well, it is in space. It is, but relative to us, it's pretty big. So you got all this stuff flying at 1,000 miles per hour.
Wait a minute. Dollar Will just said Fred G. Sanford in space.
Hey,
Wasn't there a show called Homeboys in Outer Space?
Homeboys in Outer Space, man. You remember that shit? Oh God. Hilarious.
but yeah, you can make money doing that, and then you get enough money, continue that, and offshoot asteroid mining, or branch out to asteroid mining, low Earth orbit asteroid mining.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there, dude.
Yeah, plenty of opportunities for black men. I mean, I guess you would have some kind of like, you use a spaceship that's up there collecting junk with it, like a wagon or something like that, just trailing right behind it. Hey, Christian, you have anything you want to add?
Just after, that's it.
No, nothing at this time, but I am liking that idea of a space pickup junk.
Oh yeah, it's real because a lot of this stuff have to have trace minerals of gold and and other special. Yeah, so you can take that out, recycle it. Oh man,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of exotic materials in satellites, man.
Yeah,
how many people?
Go ahead, Christian.
Was that how many people stare into space looking at stars anyway? You can just sit there and start tracking that satellite's about to fall, and you can start making plans.
Look, you send a rocket.
There's a famous.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say there's a famous Celestron telescope that Lionel likes a lot, and that's able to track a lot of that stuff.
Yes, I do.
That's a tax write-off. You can go ahead and buy that, sit and start tracking the satellites and the junk is out of space. Like, oh yeah, this is about to fall, and you can just start mapping out trajectory and the possibility of where it's going to fall, and start setting that up, or just even have a business of calling people up of other space junk pickups.
The only problem is when they fall in the ocean, you're gonna have to figure out a way to actually capture it, pinpoint where in the ocean it's gonna fall. I mean, most of the time it falls in the Pacific than it does in the Atlantic. But
70% chance of the falling in the ocean since the Earth is 70% water.
I was gonna say, look, you said maybe take one of those 3D printed rockets, right? You send it right up, then it deploys like some sort of capsule that then shoots up to the satellite, attaches to it, disables it, right? Brings the shit down, deploys a parachute, boom, There's a GPS beacon on it. Comes down. You see where it's at. You go get it.
Yeah. We don't have anything else. We'll move on to the next article.
Oh no, I think we're good. We can move on to the next article. Someone said we can send Pookie and Ray Ray.
Homeboys in outer space. There you go.
There you go.
Hey,
Instead of as soon as you put his helmet on, you'll see like the little do rag piece at the end of the helmet.
hey, I would. I mean, hey, okay, that fella would have. I feel like going. Tyrone, go get that. Oh, you ain't gonna get it? Oh, bye. Okay, I would.
We gotta look up the old episodes of Homeboys in Outer Space, man. I gotta revisit that shit.
Well, let me get to this last article. BP Colombo spacecraft launch on 7-year trek to Mercury for Europe and Japan. So basically, the European Space Agency and the Japanese Space Agency collaborated to send 2 spacecrafts out to Mercury on a 7-year mission. So what they're going to be doing is doing exploration of Mercury's cold and hot side, to determine what the gravity is, as well as the conditions of the surface as well, and how it relates to life in between Earth and Mercury itself. So whether or not there may have been life on Mercury at some point. Obviously, one side is hot, one side is cold, but I guess if you're gonna do research on the origins of life, you really do have to go back to some of these planets and see what the conditions of the planet was at some point. I mean, we're still finding riverbeds and ice and things like that on Mars. So no, there's no telling what can be found on Mercury. It's also going to Venus as well, so it'll be scanning Venus on the same trip. You gentlemen have anything that you want to add?
Yeah. Okay. Venus is okay. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, so it really don't rotate. So its hot side is really getting toasted, and its cold side is
Has no gravity.
right. So its cold side is relatively cold, relative to its proximity to the sun. Who's to say it wasn't always in that position? So exploring these planets can offer a lot of information as to the history of our solar system. Venus, on the other hand, is of course between Mercury and Earth. Venus is a hothouse, and a hothouse meaning the atmosphere got so thick where it did not allow the infrared rays from the sun to escape, trapping them. And more infrared rays keep coming in from the sun, trapping them. So it's a runaway hothouse. But it it started at a point where it wasn't a runaway hothouse. And from that point, that moment before, what was it like? And to find and to dig, dig and find examples of to what Venus was before that point. Maybe it had water, maybe it had this. But these are things that can allow us to find information on what our solar system was like before now. Well, before now. Did,
Yeah, exo stuff.
did that sound too geekish or?
No, not for me. It wasn't.
Better enough for me. Christian, you have anything you want to add?
So it's going to take 7 years for it to get to Venus.
That's how big space is.
Yeah.
I know. It's
That's
just
how
that.
big. It's like 7
No,
years.
it doesn't take 7 years to get there. It's what it's doing on its travel path. So it's going to
Okay,
circle around Earth once, and then it's going to go to Venus, and then it's going to go to Mercury, and then it's going to come back around.
Okay.
But still,
Yeah, to get to Mars is 6 months,
and that's
and
at
to get
its
and that's at
closest point.
20,000 miles an hour.
Right, and that's at its closest point to Earth. 6 months. 6 months. Imagine going 6 months with a crew of 10 and 5 of them women. Talkative women.
No, for 6 months now, man. Nah.
Yeah.
And not to beat up on
Well,
women,
you have
but
to remember that
go ahead.
no, you have to remember that your body is moving at a certain rate of speed that may be not sustainable for a long journey. So they haven't
Okay.
even, I think some of the testing that they've been doing. I saw a video or an article last week about how they're working on these 16, 17-year-olds now and for NASA. They've been training them throughout the summer to be the next the next astronauts in the next 20 years or next 15 to 20 years or something like that. So that takes time. That's a long time for go through some training.
Yeah. So these planets, and of course, like you said, is going around Earth just to get that speed to slingshot it to Mercury or to Venus and to Mercury, and then it's gonna slow down. Probably slow down on Venus. Probably eject some modules, some rovers or whatever that's needed to penetrate that thick atmosphere and survive
Using
that thick
lasers.
atmosphere. Okay, losing lasers. Okay, well that's even better. And I'm pretty well. I'm going to guess. I don't know for sure. I sound like an expert here, but I'm not. But with the lasers, they're sending uh what is this called? Um the light spectrum. I'm just going to be very basic. The light spectrum, and whatever light spectrum don't come back. They know that whatever absorbs that light spectrum, they know that's what is on Venus or Mercury. That's how they know the composition of planets. Whatever absorb
Right.
whatever absorbs those light spectrums,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
that planet is made of.
Is the atmospheric composition?
Right, the atmospheric composition.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So I was about to ask, what proof do we have that Venus is not another smaller but a gas giant? Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate
because
that.
the Russians actually they tried 13 or 14 attempts.
Yeah, we went over that. Yep. And they finally landed on there, and you saw a rocky surface. As far as the camera shown, it was no mountainous, rocky surface. I don't know the gravity of Venus off the top of my head, but if Venus's gravity is stronger than Earth, then you would not see a lot of high mountains. Everything would be more compact down because of gravity. Gravity takes effect on mountains also. It takes effects on everything, not just humans. So yeah. Man, I'm on fire tonight, boy.
Yep.
Hey, Complex, do you have that link to that Porsche?
Yeah, I posted it in the chat. Let me grab it though. Here, I'll post it again.
But yeah, yeah. And the reason I know about this because when I was young, I used to like space, and I read some books. But I took a what's this thing called? Astronomy class for an elective, and that was some dense stuff. And I'll show my previous ignorance. When I took the astronomy class, I was thinking the other type of astronomy, you know, Libra, Scorpio, that type of stuff. And
Oh, you need a hangout for that one.
yeah, a 2-hour hangout for that. But when I got into it, I got the book, started reading the chapters. The chapters are like 20 to 30 pages long, and it wasn't a regular book. It was like one of them long books. So it had a lot of words, you know, small words, and not a lot of pictures. So I read the chapters, but I learned a lot. I really did learn a lot.
Hey, Mike, check the link. It's in the chat.
I'm sharing my screen.
You know that. By the way, for you guys checking out Transport Evolved, that's a really cool YouTube channel that has a lot of news on EVs. So.
I think it starts with a T. I forget the exact pronunciation of it, but it's that Porsche starts with a T. But it's basically going to put Tesla on edge because Tesla is not an unattractive vehicle, but people like traditional looks, right? So if you're a Porsche, you're a guy that was already buying 911s, you probably want to stick with the brand. And
yep.
I can see, you know, 911 owners jump into something like this. It looks just like a Fisker though, in Defenders and stuff like that. It seems like they took a lot of cues from the Fisker.
It's because of the EV platform. And I swear I keep saying that we're going to do this, man. We're going to do it. We got to get the next Clutch podcast together because we're going to go over the Open Motors platform, which is it's an open source EV platform, but it breaks down how EV platforms are, how they're designed, and they're designed for scalability. Right, they can be expanded. You can make them longer, shorter, but with one platform. And so what she's speaking to is the new Porsche EV platform. I think there's going to be 3 Porsche variants that they're going to basically make an EV variant of off of this platform. And then I think the new Cayman platform, the platform that the Cayman is the Cayman, yeah. So that new platform will basically be in use from now to 2024. The Cayenne, that's it. I'm sorry, the Cayenne. So that's the latest platform they just launched. So that one will be in use until 2024, I think it is. And then after that, the Cayman platform the Cayenne platform will then be transferred over to this one right here.
Yeah. And they call it the MQB platform.
Yeah.
Volkswagen, Porsche, and Audi, and Lamborghini. They all use the platform. So it's a lot of interchangeable parts that work on all of them, including the Lamborghini. So the next Audi R8 is supposed to be all electric. So we'll see what happens with that.
Oh God, that's literally one of my top 3 cars right now, dude. The V10. Oh my God. Yeah, that V10, dude, nothing nice.
It's a Lamborghini engine, so it's it's going to be pretty stout. But they're saying that this is the last V10. You won't see any more after this.
I believe it.
All electric.
I believe it.
I do like the NSX though. You know, I like the V6 electric hybrid. So it's a pretty slick platform that they have. It's a tight car
like
though. I went to go. You don't like them?
I don't like the price.
Oh well, I mean it's half the price of a Porsche 918, right? So a 918 was a hybrid electric supercar, right? And then you factor in the LaFerrari from Ferrari. That thing's like 1/3 of the price of a LaFerrari. So it's just one of those things you have to take into consideration that the approach that Honda Acura was looking at was this is going to be a mini supercar, and it has all the technology of the bigger competition, but it's at one third or half the price. So I think they did a good job. But the one I went to go look at, man, it had cream interior. I said, who the hell ordered cream interior on this?
I mean, you know, I guess that's largely been my knock on Honda, man. It's just I don't know, they really haven't been doing it for me as of late. Because look, if you're gonna pay 6 figures for a Japanese high performance Japanese car, first thing I'm thinking is GTR. You know, Godzilla, dude. That's what I'm thinking. So it's like, in order for me to really look at the NSX, I mean, I'm looking at it because I mean, hell, I see it kicking ass out on track. You know, running in the GT3 classes. So it's doing its thing. I'm just like, damn, dude. You know, it's an Acura, dude. You know, 150K.
Yeah. But
it's a good car, though.
Remember back in the days,
I'm not knocking the car. It's a good car. It's a good car.
But back in the 90s, it was around 90K or something like that. The first iteration of it. So
that is true.
And the Tesla Roadster, and the I want to say it was the 350 that they were chasing after the time, the Ferrari 350. That was like well over $200,000 at the time, and that was
right.
90s money. So today it would be worth something like $500,000. But yeah, you guys can jump in. This is open mic right now. Anybody in the chat have anything that they want to ask? You know, now is the time to ask, because
yeah, we're on the open chat. Yeah.
I see C Boogie's in there. What's going on, C Boogie? Devin Liggins, what's going on? Jedi
yeah,
Moses,
man. Who we got in there?
A new face, Sharmella Anderson.
Welcome. Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
But all of those platforms, man. Yeah, the EV platforms, that they're all built to be expansive. So you can expand them out, make them longer, make them shorter. One platform could be a mid-size sedan, and then it could also be, basically, if you just expand it out, it could also be like a full-size luxury vehicle. And the reason why you're expanding it, because all you're doing is you're making room for the additional battery banks.
Right. Dr. Yaya, hey, what's going on?
Welcome.
Excuse me. And with these autonomous vehicles, I thought about, okay, you have obviously no current automotive in business want to go out of business, like Ford, Chevy, GM, things of that nature. So they're going to go to automotive vehicles or die. We know that's a given. Now, when they get to automotive vehicles and they're competing with each other,
autonomous vehicles.
What did I say?
Automotive vehicle. Yeah, I think a vehicle is automotive.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron. Okay, autonomous. Golly, autonomous vehicles. And they compete with each other. You got this ride sharing program coming out. You have autonomous vehicles. People can just say, well, whichever vehicle come by and go home, check y'all later. So now, what if they say, well, hey, drive a BMW autonomous vehicle. It's only $3 extra, with the luxury you desire. Or Ford say, drive a Ford autonomous vehicle home, get you there faster, things like that. So what do they start competing on that level?
They already do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, you're going to see basically the services. And so Mike, I think this was last week or 2 weeks ago, it was either an article in the email circles or we actually spoke to it about Bird doing sort of like a home drop off service, right? Where somebody just wants a scooter, like somebody like me, I'll take one of the ones I have here, right? And I'll go take it to your house, right? You just have it, and then I'll come and maybe pick it up and then drop off another one, take the one you just had, and you just always have a scooter to use, right? So think about you just sign up for a subscription service, and when you get up and you open your door at 7:30 in the morning, there's a car parked out, right, with no driver in it at your house. You just get in it, and it already knows where to take you. It's already, your itinerary is already pre-planned out. Any changes you make on the app, and that's kind of how I see this stuff working. I see it working a lot like how Bird and Uber and everything else kind of works, but just all by itself through an app.
Tony Likey asks, how long before these autonomous trucks take away trucking jobs? Excuse me. Why am I doing it? Well, my opinion is there are already autonomous trucks on the road, albeit they are in a industrial park setting. And if they're not in an industrial park setting, they only deliver within a short radius of wherever they're going. The streets have to be, if you get a lot of these on the road, obviously the streets have to be changed because you want the IoT to be in full effect in terms of the traffic, and other things like that. So the infrastructure setting will dictate, in my opinion, how fast they will take away trucking jobs.
I don't think trucking jobs are going to go anywhere in the immediate future because you still have FedEx and those other larger brands that are very dependent upon the vehicles that are already in service, right? So
Mm.
I think in places like Australia that have those road trains, basically you have these 18 wheelers with multiple trailers attached to the back, not just one 53 footer, but you have, 5 or 6 of them on a single vehicle, on a single hitch. I think those are the vehicles that will be replaced, right? So they'll start in those type of areas that have long travel. In the United States, it's a little bit different. Poor infrastructure, I know in Massachusetts, a few years ago, they had counted over 800 bridges as being condemned or close to being condemned that need to be restored and repaired. And I think in the United States, it was something like 8,000 bridges from coast to coast that were considered to be condemned. I think Minnesota had a incident where a bridge had collapsed.
Yeah, I remember that. That was about what, 5 years ago?
Yeah,
I want to say.
yeah. I wonder if NOAA has anything to do with that, but
Hmm.
yeah. But the point I'm making is that the infrastructure here is just so poor that it would take time and take more implementation from the technology standpoint to actually have these vehicles set up so that they have to travel autonomously with no regard to the condition of the environment or the infrastructure that doesn't exist, right? So in places like Africa, it could be different because you can build up your infrastructure around the autonomous vehicle deployment. Whereas in the United States, the infrastructure already exists, so your autonomous vehicles have to be designed around the ready infrastructure that's already there, and the ready infrastructure is already condemned. You got bridges, falling, potholes unfilled, ceiling tiles, like in Boston, where the ceiling tile from the tunnel fell on top of someone's car and squashed them like a grape, um,
Mm.
like a pancake. Just all types of just poor development. Um, that makes it difficult for here, but over in somewhere like Australia or somewhere like in Africa, that will be easily implemented.
So they'll just skip the infrastructure America put in place decades ago and go straight to the autonomous infrastructure.
Say that one more time.
Excuse me. I said they'll just skip the infrastructure, the kind of infrastructure America put into place decades ago, and they'll go straight to the autonomous infrastructure.
Well, your vehicle is autonomous infrastructure, right? And then you factor in the 5G towers that are being deployed. I think Verizon is the first one to actually launch their 5G products in the last month or so. So you see that sort of implementation between the vehicle being an IoT, a rolling IoT device, and then you see the 5G infrastructure going up across some of these urban environments on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Hey, Mike,
Now,
I'm sorry, I just stepped away. What are you guys referencing? What part of the globe?
oh no, we were just talking about the poor infrastructure in the United States, and Lionel was saying that these vehicles would have to the timing of these vehicles being deployed onto the roads. And I'm saying in places like Australia, you would have they have these road trains where they have this tractor trailer that tows about 50, or not 50, about 5 or 6 53 footers on a highway, on a long highway that's continuous, and they don't really have to worry too much about infrastructure because it's a straight shot. So it'll be easy to implement an autonomous truck or autonomous vehicle there, but in the United States, um, from a commercial standpoint, it will be difficult to implement a autonomous tractor trailer because the infrastructure is so poor. You got bridges that are too short on the same highway with bridges that are much higher. There's just a whole lot of poor infrastructure choices and implementations that the federal
Yeah.
government has to take into consideration. I was saying that in Massachusetts alone, we had something like 800 bridges that were considered to be condemned or would be condemned at some point. So, if you total up the whole entire United States from coast to coast, it's 8,000 bridges that are actually
Yeah.
considered to be condemned or need to be replaced. And I don't know if the federal government has the stomach to actually repair all those bridges, repair all the potholes in roads, and
Hmm.
and just for autonomous vehicles. So now you would have to design your autonomous vehicle around the poor environment itself, which could be very costly.
Yeah, okay. So the rollout I could see, right, and this is kind of seeing how Bird operates, for example, right? So the rollout I could see is like, so you would daisy chain autonomous trucks for like long stretches of road,
Hmm.
right? Very long stretches of road that don't really require like uh, going over bridges or anything like that. Right. And then what you would do is they would go to maybe like centralized distribution where then like human truckers pick up and then go from there. So you start to see the role of over the road trucking. You start to see the length of transports shorten, right? Because there's going to be those long stretches just across like just straight road and stuff like that, where it's just going to be autonomous trucks taking stuff. And they're going to go to a distribution point where then you'll have smaller trucks that'll then break up the parcels and then take that over, bridges into like the more intricate areas and stuff like that. With that, you'll start to see more infrastructure development to then accommodate more of the heavy lifting on the autonomous vehicle side, right? This is something that's going to take time to roll out. You're going to have to see it kind of happen in two different stages, but kind of concurrently, right? But
Hmm.
I do see areas where you can just roll out like an autonomous truck, and it can just do like a good 1,000 miles, dude, like straight. And what you just did was you're now cutting down. You're cutting 1,000 miles out of like the traditional trucking routes for a lot of truckers,
What about that stretch
right?
between LA and Las Vegas? That'll be a good one.
This is what I'm saying, right? There's going to be you have to section it out. You section it out first, right? And then you start to figure out what other areas we could utilize this in. You have to kind of grow it out. It has to kind of spread out. You don't just dump it all at once, because you do have to account for things like, bridges that aren't even deemed safe for vehicles to be transporting over,
Can't
potholes,
handle the weight.
right? There's still a whole lot of things that you still would have to account for, where it wouldn't make sense to just roll it all out and just throw it, just dump it out and just have it just all over the place. In some areas, again, until you really have like a strong prominence of 5G data infrastructure, you can't roll this out in rural areas. What if a truck loses signal out in Idaho somewhere?
Oh, that's all backed up by satellite communications, and
Well, yeah.
that would be your redundancy point.
Right.
No,
Okay.
forget that.
Okay.
I'm tired of these truckers running me off the road when I'm in the slow lane. I'm minding my business, and they want to beep they loud
Autonomous
ass horn.
vehicles they're gonna stick to that one lane, and they're gonna stay there.
Get rid of them. We don't need them.
No.
I can
Actually,
MOT is not gonna be happy to hear that one.
him or Ghana then. But
Yeah. Right.
yeah, I just posted the video, not the video, but the article. I shared my screen. Tesla deploys massive new autopilot neutral net in version 9. Impressive new capabilities, report says. So
Ooh.
I like the image.
Gosh.
Look at that.
They're tracking everything. Everything that's moving is tracking. Even everything is not
No,
moving.
How much?
look
Huh?
at that. Look at that. No, I mean, look at that right there. Gosh.
Yeah, they're tracking the light poles, the stoplight,
I
the
mean, they
little
track, look, the contour in
everything.
the road. Look at even the contours in the road. Look at that.
Bumps.
Bumps. Exactly.
So if a
Jeez.
bump too deep, it slows down, depending on the
Yeah.
weight of the truck. If this pothole too deep, the weight of the truck is X amount of tons, it got the
It'll slow it
uh
down.
slow it, because if it has the possibility of breaking the axis, okay, slow down a little bit, go around it, we good. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
This is Tesla doing this, right? So
Yeah.
they're mapping this all out, right? They're using their vehicles to actually map out the system across from coast to coast, from state to state, city to city, street to street. This helps them actually upgrade their system for the next version. So version 10, version 11, so on and so forth, will have more information than what it did before. Now, how they're going to store all this map data, I don't know. I know map data tends to be something like maybe 4 to 8 gigs or something like that. I know just for my Volkswagen, my mapping system with Canada and Mexico included was something like 8 gigs or something like that. So, but the amount of
Wait.
information that's on display. Go ahead.
No, repeat what you said. You said the mapping information of Canada and Mexico was just 8 gigs.
It's about that much.
That's
If you
amazing.
factor in if you factor in how many 3D models and stuff it has to take, for the buildings and infrastructure and other pieces, it takes all that into consideration, right? So that's why it's probably so big. But there could be
That's
other information like voice, things of that nature that
but
makes it
still,
bigger.
that's just 8 gigs is amazing. That's how powerful our smartphones are.
Hmm.
Wow. To have the mapping of 2 countries, including all the other things that go into it, like you just said, the voices and so forth, and put that in your phone as 8 gigs, and you can still do other things. That's pretty amazing.
That's no, that's for the in-vehicle GPS system, not the phone.
Okay, and then well, still, you still got the mapping. Wow, that's still amazing.
Mhm. So it says based on new capabilities of autopilot under version 9, we already knew that the new computer vision neural net had to be significantly updated. This is next level stuff. This isn't
I
like,
was about to say, this is a neural net, dude. Jeez.
yeah. So like I was saying before, every version, every time they send out these Tesla vehicles, they're actually capturing all this data, and then they're building their own little database or whatever it is that they're using, a neural database. And then the next version of the autopilot system, version 10 or version 11, is going to have all of the updates, whether or not there's imperfections in the road, misaligned sewer manholes and sewer hatches and imperfections and dips in the road and things like that. All that stuff is taken into consideration. On top of the fact it's in color. Most mapping systems are not really real time information like this. This is showing what an actual vehicle looks like. Look at the amount of information that you have just in your peripheral, right? Just between the next cars.
I was going to say, now we understand why NVIDIA's stock is up, and why they're even rolling out their own platforms, right, to do this type of stuff right here.
So I have a question.
Yes,
Who's
sir.
that?
This is Preem. I jump back on.
I know.
So is this technology safer than the same technology that kind of powers air traffic control, to where they're pretty much autonomous airplanes in the sky anyway? You know, they kind of pretty much run themselves. Is this technology safer than that, or better?
I wouldn't say that it's so much as safer. They did have one accident or two accidents with the autopilot software, and I think they removed it. But I think this is the newest iteration of it. So you figure in that Tesla probably moves 20,000 cars a year, and out of 20,000, they have maybe 2 or 3 accidents because of the software. We don't know what exactly went wrong because they don't share that black box detail. But but what we do know is the amount of vehicles that have malfunctioned in comparison to the amount sold is very insignificant. It could be like maybe 1.1% of their sales. We don't know what's wrong with some of these software bugs, right? So even your phone, right? Sometimes I'm on my Android phone and it could reboot on me because it just did. There was some bad coding in there. But when you talk about a vehicle, I get your concern, but Preem, but it's not even 1%. Not even 1% of their vehicles are crashing like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, typically, the accidents involving Teslas, and trust me, man, it breaks my heart, because out here in SoCal, I see like wrecked Teslas on a daily basis, dude, and I'm like, oh, but typically that's not due to autopilot. It's due to the driver, or it's due to a different driver hitting them. Like what Mike was saying, to what you could actually attribute to autopilot is like, it's like literally like 1%. It's very low.
I agree with you on that. When it's on autopilot, and Tesla, they pay strict attention to the rules of the road, and obviously, a lot of people don't really do that. So when these cars are driving according to the rules of the road, and somebody say, "Hey, what you doing?" Boom. Next thing you know, you got a fender bender.
And if you look at this tweet right here from Elon Musk, it says, to be clear, actual end improvement, neural net improvement is significantly overestimated in this article. Version 9 versus 8.1 is more like a 400% increase in useful operations per second, due to enabling integrated GPU and better use of discrete GPU. So this, like Ulysses was saying a few seconds ago, that NVIDIA stock is up because that's what is going to be used. These GPU processors that NVIDIA makes, and as well as AMD makes, is what these systems rely on most. And I told you guys before, you should watch the stock of AMD go up by the end of the year. You're going to see a whole lot of things come out of that. And in this image right here, we're looking at Tesla autopilot recognition of roadside structures, right? It's counting all the traffic lights and all the poles and all the other pieces of the infrastructure around it.
It's like mapping it out.
It already identified it, right?
And so in this car, if I'm in the driver's seat of this car that has that's processing all this information, this car does I'm in the driver's seat, and this car does of course it has a steering wheel, but do I have to be mindful? Can I kick back a little bit? Can I kind of fiddle with other stuff, or do I have to still keep eyes on the road?
You still have to pay attention to the road, but the point of the matter is you can take your hands off the steering wheel and take your feet off the gas and the brake, and it does all the work for you. 99% of the work for you.
Yeah, look up the video of the brother who was in a Tesla, and he's listening, I think, to like Earth, Wind, and Fire or the Isleys, and smoking a blunt, and the car's driving himself, and he's on the freeway.
I saw a video where a Tesla predicted an accident, like, let's say 2 seconds, a hard 2 seconds before it actually happened in front of them.
Because it has LiDAR.
Mm.
So the LiDAR sensor on the front of the car is gauging the activity up front. So it can tell if the car in front is braking too early, or is braking significantly quicker than it should. So it's counting all of this, taking into consideration what you need to do as the driver, right, and what it needs to do as the software management system.
But the Tesla didn't get into the accident. It was the two cars in front of it that got into an accident. So the car, so not the car that was in front of it, but the car that was in front of the car that was in front of it. That sounds confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Put their brakes on. So the car that was in front of the Tesla didn't put their brakes on fast enough, and it detected that, and it just said slow in traffic ahead. And the guy was like, "What are you talking about?" All of a sudden, boom! Oh, and he had it on video.
Yeah, that's that FLIDAR, the predictive software in it, and basically, all it's doing is it's always doing consistent calculation and measuring. You know, so it's measuring and calculating the trajectory of these two vehicles, and it calculated at the rate that they were moving in the direction that they were moving. Right, they weren't going to be able to slow down enough to avoid each other. So what it did was it took a predictive measure and just slowed down and just said, all right, I'm gonna let these dudes, hit each other.
And they was on the expressway, so they were driving in the straight line in the lane, and ended up a fender bender. Fender bender occurred.
Too much jerking of the brake, too much inconsistency in terms of moving left to right, swaying of the vehicle, the rate of speed, all of that gets taken into consideration. And even you as a human being can determine, okay, this guy's swerving left to right. You need to, and that's what this whole entire software is about, neural networks, right? But if you had every single vehicle on the road using this similar sort of software or similar sort of infrastructure, you would reduce accidents down to 1%, if not less.
So okay, so maybe if everybody, so I'm looking at this video, so maybe if every car on this road doesn't have that software, but let's say, could one day this car that's moving that we're in, could it determine, could it tap into, like, let's say if everybody knows other cars if they have like cell phones, and sometimes you're in your cell phone could pretty much tell how fast you're going, this, that, or whatever. it could pick that up and use that as a reference or as a guide, or would it even need to?
No, it's already connected. I think some of your Teslas.
Had an echo there.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I think some of your Teslas even have 4G connectivity from what I've seen in the past on some of these order sheets. They have 4G LTE, so they're already connected to the network, collecting all this information and using GPS to actually determine the position and speed for reference. So you wouldn't use anything. It wouldn't have anything to do with your phone. I know the McLarens have 4G LTE capabilities as well already. When you buy it, there's already a Verizon connection to it or something like that. But I think going forward, you'll start to see more and more cars that have 5G. It would just be the thing to have because you don't really need a SIM card. You can just authorize it by the IMEI number on the vehicle itself, and the IMEI will probably be the same as the VIN number.
actually what I was throwing out was that, okay, so somebody made a comment like, soon, if all the cars on the road had this technology, then they could communicate and, they would be friendly with each other. They'll know who's what. Like this car that we're looking at right here, it will have an ID on all those cars around it because all of them will be running the similar software. What I was saying was, okay, so let's say that's not the case, but could it tap into, let's say, if the individual in those cars had a cell phone, if it could tap into the ID, or would that be a privacy issue or whatever? Could it tap and use the cell phones of the individuals in those other cars as a metric or a unit to kind of gauge the speed or the ID or just whatever, in lieu of that car having the software itself use the individuals in those other cars' cell phones?
Well, you would have to agree to that when you sign up for your Android device, right? Because Google is the one that would be managing that sort of software and privacy on your device. So something like Waze, yeah, you can probably tie in Waze into the infrastructure itself, the software infrastructure itself. That could be worked out. But if you take into consideration, most of your new vehicles all have some form of connectivity. So what I'm referring to is that if the vehicles all have similar software, is that it's called vehicle-to-vehicle communications. It's actual standard that the United States has implemented with the Department of Transportation. So there's guidelines and stuff that that's set up for car companies to actually work with for crash safety standards and whatnot. I think what's going to happen, and this is just my opinion and from my observation, is that you're going to see a lot of these cars won't be able to pass smog tests, so they'll have to take them off the road, and you'll be forced to go buy an electric vehicle. And if you can't afford to buy an electric vehicle, it's going to be too bad for you. So it will be the haves that who can afford it, and who will be the ones driving their Teslas and their electric vehicles, and the ones who can't afford it, which is too bad. You'll just have to find some kind of ride-sharing service like Lyft or Uber.
That'll be tough.
Yeah, yeah. They'll go after the SUVs first. They'll go after the SUVs first and say your vehicle doesn't pass CO2 emissions at this rate that for the year 2028. Well, you're gonna have to take that vehicle off the road. So all your Ford Raptors, all your rednecks with their big lifted Wranglers and whatnot, and their Nissan Xteras, all of those vehicles will have to come off the road.
Hey,
you can trade this in for a bird scooter. How about that?
Hey man, I got one of those big redneck trucks, man. And nah, buddy, they ain't getting my truck. Nah.
I'm gonna tell them to come in your house.
As black as you are, Preem, you got a redneck.
Man, I love my F-150. I love this truck, man. I love
it. What is it lifted? You on 34s? What you want?
Hey,
Oh
I
no,
have an Xterra.
no, it's not lifted. It's already high, but no, I haven't scooped it up. Again, it's not mine. It's on. I'll do the ride share thing, but I only ride trucks. I got rid of the fast cars. I was in the fast cars, but once I got to the F-150s, I was done.
You ride nice, don't it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, those would be the first ones they take out. To be quite honest with you, I mean, I know Trump pulled out of the whole climate agreement, Paris climate agreement, but you're going to see all of these major companies that do have electric vehicles that want to sell them and need to be sold. They'll start lobbying, and they're like, get these vehicles out of here. Let's figure out a way to get them out of here. You know, cash for clunkers. You know, either you get rid of that big F-150 Preem, and we give you this bird scooter delivered to your house, or you have nothing. How about that?
Well, you see, that's why here in the South we all have shotguns in our rearview mirror. You know, in case anybody tries any type of a nanny against like that, we just get locked and loaded, man. We just get locked and loaded.
It's a possibility, Preem. I mean, in order for this country to move forward, it does have to, get rid of certain elements. So.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, that's a relative argument. You know, as far as someone determine that they're czar, and they're going to determine what Ford is, and it kind of it's not always coincidence. It's not always a coincidence that it's also always in their best interest. That it's the guys that are actually behind, not you per se, but it's the guys that are making the machines or whatever that are kind of behind the tech to say, hey, this is the way, this is the best option. Oh yeah, by the way, it's my shit too, and I'm gonna come up hella good, if this gets implemented universally,
Hey,
So yeah, everybody, folks are definitely raising the eyebrow today. A lot of folks have common sense, and if it's self-serving, they just pretty much gonna tell them to go kick rocks.
Hey, Prem, you can use your $60,000 you're gonna get from the government to get an autonomous vehicle.
I'm not getting out this truck, bro. I'm not getting out of trucks, man. I'm not getting out of a truck.
Well, Preem, I have seen conversion kits for like certain vehicles. I know I saw it for Lotus, but they basically have these batteries and these motors, electric motors that they've been ripping the guts out of these big V8s and V10s and whatnot, and then they stick an electric motor in there and some batteries in the trunk, and now you have an electric vehicle. So I have seen conversion kits like that in the last few months. How reliable they are, I don't know, but in order for the technology that you see on our screen, from Tesla, this autopilot with the neural networks, in order for something like this to be implemented, from a safety standpoint, you would have to get rid of all of those analog vehicles that have these high CO2 emissions.
Can't be done. It can't be done with internal combustion engines. Can't be done.
Wait, really quick. This model that I got from this company is actually a flex fuel. Even though I don't use a flex fuel because that shit, it like burns like piss. But as big as the F-150 truck is, I drove from North Georgia to Tampa. I think that was like a 6-hour drive. And I swear to God, I think I got there on about a tank of gas, if not a little bit less than a tank of gas. I don't think I filled up. And I made that trip twice in the F-150. So, and just as a comparative analysis, I mean, some of the other cars that I've gotten through this company, whether it was like a Lux XUV, a Rover, or what's that one that starts with a Acura or Lexus or whatever, especially BMW, the gas mileage is shit. But on this big ass F-150 truck from here in North Georgia to Tampa, that shit was like on one tank of gas. And that's why I keep it so often, because I can drive around town for like a week and a half and not even have to fill the tank up. I actually get the best mileage out of this F-150 than any of the other cars that I've ever gotten from the service. Any of the other cars. And that's I'm being totally honest. Totally honest.
Mm-hmm. Is that the EcoBoost version?
Yeah, it's got that flex fuel thing on it, you know, that E85. But again, that E85 gas, that shit burns like piss, man. You don't get nowhere on the E85. So as long as you put Supreme gas in there, it'll last you forever. It'll last forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the E85 is corn fuel.
E85, you know, it was a joke to begin with.
But it has a lot of power, though.
I tried it once, and I was like, oh man, yeah, it's like $40 to fill up that big ass truck on the E85. I was like, oh man, this is really good, but it'll get you nowhere. But if you put Supreme in, I mean, it's still only about 55, $60 maybe, depending on how empty you are. But I mean, that's like a regular size SUV. A Lux SUV will cost you about $60 to go ahead and fill up, and not last as long.
Yeah. So this next article that I just posted was and I'm sharing my screen for everybody in the chat. New 100-mile electric van matches diesel van on price, Workhorse says. So this looks like something that Complex was talking about, you know, with this open motors thing. Panel gaps everywhere, but it's supposed to be electric. It's a 100-mile electric range, so I would say 100 miles is pretty far for a van, a Workhorse van.
I wonder if that's actually on the Open Motors platform. I'm curious.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like something similar. So.
You know, I'm gonna tell you like the difference, and I really don't care. I'm gonna put this out there, but you know, the thing what I was gonna do with my mic was that with the chassis that I was developing, the Open Motors platform, I was going to actually use 96 through 2004 Honda Civic steering and suspension components. I was going to integrate that into that chassis design so that you had a wide range of aftermarket, you had access to a wide range of aftermarket components. So you would actually be able to do different things with it based on the fact that you based the rack and pinion and the suspension and everything on a very widely used platform. So I was developing the Open Motors platform with a few customizations of my own to allow for scalability, you know, but you know, a lot of these you could take it as is and just slap a body on it and then call it what it is. Make it a vehicle, make it a delivery van or whatever. I've seen all types of things done with the Open Motors platform. I've seen a open cockpit race car built out of it.
Yeah, makes sense. I know you have anything you want to add?
No. I'm yeah. I done ran my mouth too much.
Christian, you okay over there?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. Just listening.
All righty.
Interesting.
Cream, what you got to do is you got to get some straight pipes for your F-150.
Good God, are you serious?
Some cherry bullets.
Everyone's gonna hate you.
I'm over here cracking up at Jack Charles in the chat. Jack Charles called me a blackneck. Man, damn you for that.
That was a good one.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of interesting stuff that's coming out, man. I think will be game changers going forward.
Yeah, you know,
I know.
in
Do you have
the future, man, I want to speak a little bit more to the Open Motors platform because, you know, again, Mike, just real quick, you know, we're talking about startups and all that type of stuff. Um, just thinking to, you know, prior conversation we've had this evening, I've even seen the Open Motors platform. I've seen a lunar rover developed out of that platform as well. Just wanted to throw that out there too.
Hey, Lionel, you had an article. Let me see.
Yeah, there was the same one about the blockchain.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull it up now just so we can get it out the way.
Okay. Excuse me.
Yep, it's time for a new job,
Yeah.
and I'm sharing this for everybody in the chat.
Yeah.
Watching.
What they were saying, they were basically saying the same thing, reiterating the same thing that we went over in um about the other article. They didn't mention the same specific numbers, but they did say if you want to become an blockchain space, you do have to learn specific coding languages. And also in the article, they did they what's different about this article that they did not mention in the other article. They said that the top 5 U.S. locations with the most blockchain openings are from 1 to 5 in a specific order: New York, San Francisco, San Jose, California, Chicago, which I'm in, and Seattle. But then they differentiated, and then, well, they differentiated, then said, here are the top 5 non-US locations with the most blockchain work opportunities, which is from Pacific Order: London, Singapore, Toronto, Hong Kong, and Berlin. Uh, they did mention that because of the shortage of people in this space, it's like a stock. Because of the shortage of the people in this space, that is driving up the medium wage of blockchain developers. People have to do with blockchain, and that the median wage in the U.S. is 52,000, but the median wage in this space is 85,000. So to get the median wage, a lot of people have to be making a lot of money just to bring that figure up. So then
I'm sorry, I got lost on that. Could you repeat that part again, please?
to drive the median wage up?
Yes, sir.
Well, the median wage is an average of, okay, the medium is just saying the middle. This is the middle of all the numbers that we calculated. So you get all the numbers of the different jobs in that sector. So we talk about blockchain, and you list them. What's the average of all those jobs? And you pick out the medium, the middle one. But what I'm saying is, for that 85,000 to be the medium, the median, they have to be those averages of all the jobs in that different in the different sectors within the blockchain. They have to be making a lot of money for the medium to be 85,000, which means that the lowest could be the medium of the average US household of 52,000. So even if you walk in the door fresh out of school or fresh off your certification, you could be making entry level 52,000, what the medium U.S. salary is, and to throw you all a thought curveball, the median U.S. salary is sometimes based off a 2-parent household. So you by yourself walking in this blockchain space, you making more walking in entry level, basic, what 2 people in a household is making. So that's, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to read the paragraph. It says, such jobs rose 300% since last year, rising to 1,775 openings in the U.S. in August 2018. But Asia is seeing a lot of hiring as well. Recruitment from Robert Walters is seeing a 50% increase in blockchain or crypto jobs in Asia since last year. 50% increase.
That's a lot. And it's not enough people to fill those jobs. So you're going to start seeing schools offering certifications, schooling. It also said in this article that a lot of schools are starting to offer classes in this. The one paragraph that says blockchain engineering is also the second most in-demand skill after robotics and automation, which are the same technologies that we speak about every Monday.
Or industrial.
Right. And it also says the top 5 blockchain openings on Glassdoor are software engineer, analyst relations manager, product manager, front-end engineer, and technology architect. And the top 5 employers with the most number of blockchain jobs are Consensus, IBM, Coinbase, Figure, and Oracle. So if you're willing, if you're listening to this or have your ear to the streets on the job industry, and you keep hearing blockchain, automation, robotics, space, you keep hearing those things over and over again, and you're willing to change jobs, or you're willing to change a total field that you know, you get on this now, you can be making buku money in the future.
Exactly. Exactly. And if I could just throw in two quick points really quick. One, when you look at the list of the top 5 cities, yes, Silicon Valley is there, San Francisco and San Jose, I think that's relatively close, but from a real estate perspective, a wildcatter will be looking, this blockchain thing could be the next version or iteration of Silicon Valley. This may not necessarily be in San Francisco or San Jose. The next Silicon Valley or iteration of it may be in New York, maybe in Chicago, maybe in Seattle. It could be in Tampa. It could be anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It may follow this whole blockchain thing, which, again, I'm a complete novice at, but, somebody who's in real estate or, it could be an investor, it could be a real estate agent, it could be someone that's seeking to kind of, give people investment opportunities, because the real estate prices are going to be going up around this sector. So that'll be something to go ahead and look at. And the other thing is, oh, surprise, look who is hanging around as one of the top 5 employers ahead of Coinbase and ahead of Oracle. If it's not IBM, and I guess I thought they were dead.
No, they not.
IBM.
Yeah.
Well, IBM are the global leaders of everything tech. They're the global leaders of everything tech. And to your point, Preem, to your point, Preem, about job location, I work from home. I'm remote, so I don't ever go into the office. I could do all my work no matter where I am. So it wouldn't matter if I was in Africa or if I was here. The only difference is the time.
True. Of course.
Yeah, even the last white collar job that I held was remote. I was an HR manager, and I worked remote.
I mean, I know Christian has been being punished by going into the office every day, but
5 days a week, man. 5 days.
Good grief.
I don't see how you can do it.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
I mean, they don't allow teleworking.
Yeah, like if you call in sick, you can still dial in.
Wow.
So call in 290 days a year.
I don't
He
have that
only
much
has like what?
PTO.
Ah.
Do they allow you to carry over?
Yeah. PTO, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for blockchain developer or blockchain architect, just to give you an estimate, Preem, that's like maybe a year's worth of studying hard. I mean, and I mean like hardcore 5 days a week studying. 90 minutes a day at best.
Oh, I hope you're being facetious when you say that. 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's it.
In my opinion, just in my opinion, right? I wouldn't spend more than 90 minutes trying to jam information into my skull that I really can't utilize immediately, right? So you kind of take it in small dosages. So programming is something that has to be repetitive. So you're gonna have to go back and do it over again and do it over again until you get it right, until you can write it out, by heart. So.
And you can get burnt out real quick.
Yes. See. Yeah. Christian knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now, for me, outside of coding, just learning about blockchain, I do the edX, the certification through UC Berkeley, cryptocurrency and blockchain. But on my daily videos, I look at a lot of crypto/blockchain, and they talk about blockchain when they talk about crypto. So a lot of the stuff that I'm learning in class, I've heard already. So then I'll look at the videos, it's reinforcing, or I'll hear something in the class that I don't know about, but then I'll look at videos, it's reinforcing. So the only thing I really got to do is really take a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of notes, but take notes. So I write it down, so record the stuff in my memory so I can be more proficient or speak to someone coherently about these things.
Nice, man. I mean, it's just, I hate to sound like a broken record, but God bless America, man. There's just so much opportunity out here. So much.
I give an example. Say I'm on somebody and they say, well, Anil, why do you think proof of work will die in the future? And that question alone then probably confused a lot of people already. And I'll say, well, proof of work is a energy intensive consensus. One CPU, one vote, one hash, one vote. And you have these mega industries such as Bitmain or China holding 80% of the hash power of Bitcoin. They own more than 51% of the hash power of Bitcoin, and they can break Bitcoin if they choose to. But with proof of work, you are using a lot of power, a lot of electricity. And so I'll go with it like that. But as I'm explaining it, they'll understand that, okay, he understands what proof of work is, why proof of work can die in the future. So then we'll go into what are some alternatives, what are some alternative consensus algorithms, things like that. So yeah, I agree with what Mike said. When you learn it, you learn it. Just continue to know it. Maybe you make some money. Yeah.
What was Complex? Were you going to say something?
Oh no, I was listening in.
Okay.
Okay, besides
I just
Python,
want to
can you scroll down a little bit and see what else is down there? What other languages are there?
Oh, I think the language listed was Go.
Okay.
Java.
JavaScript, C++.
Java, Python. Yeah. Yeah, C++ and Go. And I think Ruby on the Rails was like one at one point, but I don't think Ruby's on the Rails is
Oh, and Solidity.
Okay.
yeah, Solidity. That's the one. But yeah, I'm enthusiastic about this IT summit that we do have coming. Before we close out, I just want to talk about that real quick. So we do have a Black Brain Trust IT summit coming. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you do get the update for it, because I will create that very soon. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. Jack Charles says the state of certain universities' blockchain courses has ballooned. Recently, these it would probably be this past year, not so much as years, but I get your point. They're just trying to capitalize off of the the vertical markets. Not uncommon, greedy bastards. Lamar 83 JL says I work remote from one of my development jobs. All the information you need is online as well. You don't need to go traditional schooling. Yeah, I don't see traditional schooling lasting anymore. Brick and mortar institutions are kind of failing, especially from the state side, because the government doesn't want to fund any of those institutions anymore. All those soft programs that some women were taking, gender studies and things of that nature, no longer supported. Now you have to actually go out and get a real job and actually get a real education. So Lamar 83 says, "Can I help y'all with the IT summit?" Sure. Drop your email and the link in the chat, and I'll connect with you, or I can drop. Well, I won't drop the brain trust in there. I don't need any rogue people trying to take us down. But yeah, leave your email in the chat, and we'll follow up with you. I have one more I want to share, just to get it out the way.
So how's everybody doing?
So what I'm sharing right now is just an article from Market Watch. We should probably just cover this on Friday for economics, but I'll cover it for right now. AMD earnings, trade wars could harm assault on Intel. Interesting article because the recent AMD chips are actually manufactured in partnership with China. And I think it's the EPIC processor. Christian, you know anything about that?
Oh yeah, that's the workstation grade processor.
Yep. So it doesn't surprise me that these tariffs are actually going to hurt them in the long term. So I like to see what they're doing on the market right now.
Hey, how can we get old boy's email off the chat?
Is it on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll copy it and then remove his post.
Excuse me.
Are we still live?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
My bad.
I just drank some tea, so if I sound hyper, that's why. Tea does that to me. Well, black tea does it to me, so
Okay, I can understand that.
don't. Yeah. It was without sugar, so.
Yeah. 20 Lackey says it helps the government stop supporting those studies. Those jobs make it hard for people to pay back loans. Well, my thing is, why are you taking that course anyways? Like, where is there this high demand for these soft studies that they're talking about? I mean, I know most jobs say, well, must have 4-year degree, but that doesn't mean I want to hire you, right? Let me see what the stock price is.
It's about like about 25, 26.
Yep, 2503.
2503?
Yeah.
Damn. How did it hit 32 and then drop down to 25, man?
That new I9 came out and everybody beefed up the hype and it was like, okay, Intel's back. And then when actually people started getting in and start testing, it's like, okay, my bad.
Mm-hmm. False fire.
Yep. I don't see what the hype was going to be all about if you only got 8 cores and then Thrippers got what, 32?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the next iteration is supposed to have 64. So
Yeah. The Zions, I think, is 64. The workstation chips.
The what?
Or server chips.
Yeah.
The chips you were just talking about. I think they're 64.
I meant the consumer chips, though. The consumer chips.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what the i9 goes against, right? So.
What, those will come out next year?
Probably.
No, that's already out. It's already out.
Wow. Time for Christmas.
You'll see stock price changes by Christmas, major ones, because everybody's going to be jumping on board. A lot of that's fourth quarter of the year is usually when companies want to start utilizing that downtime to start changing out servers and server racks and things like that. Am I right, Christian?
Yeah. In fact, I need to get my rack hooked up.
All right.
Let me see if I can find
information, man. Yeah, information, man. What's going on, man? It's good to have you around here, brother.
Yeah. How you doing?
I know you're on the West Coast, so we're kind of late on our side, so. Let us know when you want to get on the panel, man, because we have space to let you on. So. I know. Do you have anything to add before we close out?
No, sir.
Okay. Preem, you have anything you want to add?
Are they ordering it right now?
Oh no.
Hey, that's not Preem. Who's that?
I was like, Preem is busy filling up his F-150 with E85.
She started talking about it.
Starts getting freaky now. So, thank you all for joining us. Episode 79. Don't forget to come back for episode 80 on Wednesday for geopolitics. And Friday will be episode 81 for economics. I'm your host, Mike, and with my co-facilitator, Lionel. We are out.
Peace out.
Christmas just sinking.